Jamaat has been very careful in its outreach, right? And vis-a-vis the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which is a big party with a big vote, okay, and which decided to stay out of the last election, but which has really sort of which who had become, whose leaders at least have become very unpopular in the past 1 year, right? So in such a situation, if something were to happen to Khaleda Zia, people might forget all that, right? And people might uh, vote for the Bangladesh Nationalist Party in large numbers, remembering Khaleda Zia. Now, this then is not in the best interest of Jamaat. So I think that's the scare.
At StratNewsGlobal, we want you to enjoy our coverage in the language you're most comfortable with. Here's how you can change the audio language on the YouTube app. Open the video you're watching, then tap the settings icon. Select Audio Track. You'll see a list of available languages. Choose your preferred language, and the audio will switch instantly. It's that simple. Explore our in depth reports, interviews, and explainers now in the language you prefer. Strat News Global, bringing you credible, on the ground journalism your way.
Welcome to this edition of The Gist. Last week, if you recall, we had done an interview with Deep Halder, the well known journalist and author, on the situation in Bangladesh given the critical medical condition of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. We return to that theme again today, and for a number of reasons. Her condition remains critical. One hears from Dhaka that perhaps things may be close to getting over for the BNP leader, but until there's a clarification and a confirmation from there, obviously we cannot say anything on that score. And obviously, we're also going to try and look at the situation after, in a post Khaleda Zia scenario. So, Deep Halder, again, glad to have you.
Thank you, Surya. Glad to be here.
So, let's get jump straight in. Update on Khaleda Zia, anything you can tell us?
I think our situation is remains extremely critical. I think that's the phrase they're using, extremely critical. There is contradictory reports from my sources in Dhaka. Some are saying that it's getting better because a specialized team from China, medical team from China, has reached India, has offered medical assistance. Prime Minister Modi also did that tweet, wishing her speedy recovery. But I think the condition remains extremely critical. Also, there is a lot of debate right now in Dhaka why her son Tarique Rahman, who's the acting chairperson of her party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, is not returning home to Dhaka from London, where he is in self exile. At a stage like this. So there is, of course, the question of Khaleda Zia's health, and the question of the elections in early February next year. So both of these demand a immediate return of Tariq Rahman to Dhaka. That's not happening. So alongside the news of I think almost hour by hour updates on Khaleda Zia's health, there is also this looming question on why her son is not coming back to Dhaka.
Mhm. So, from what I've been reading in the Dhaka Tribune and Prathamalo and so on, there's a reference from by various BNP functionaries to, some international issues that are there, legal issues that may complicate his return, in the sense of his the corruption charges that were against him. What is it we are really talking of here? What is the issue?
So there were a slew of charges against him, but I think the most serious charge against Tariq Rahman was the grenade attack on an Army League rally, if you remember, when Sheikh Hasina was the opposition leader, and his mother was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia, who we are talking about. Khaleda Zia was the prime minister. Sheikh Hasina was an opposition leader. At an Awami League rally in Dhaka, there were grenades that were hurled. I think 24 people were killed, over 200 were injured, and Sheikh Hasina barely managed to escape. Now he was implicated in that case, right? And he was given life imprisonment. So that now he has been acquitted. So also many cases that were against him he has been acquitted. So I don't think that is the issue, because even before Khaleda Zia's health was discussed, there was a period, which is the early parts of this year, where time and again, it was said that he's going to return. In fact, he himself said that he would return in November. This is before his mother was taken ill. So he himself announced that he's going to return to Dhaka in November. So at that time, there were not these issues. These are just things that these are just face-saving statements from BNP leaders, that there are legal hurdles to his return, etc., etc. I think the issue here actually is, Surya, his security. He does not feel safe enough to come to Bangladesh yet. He fears, and so does some of the top leaders of his party, there might be an attempt on his life if he returns to Dhaka at this time. We know what's been happening politically in Dhaka. Not just politically, even as far as law and order in society is concerned, what has been happening in Dhaka, where riotous mobs moving around. There's a Tawhidi Janata who just can enter any space and disrupt any mela or any art fair, or on any congregation, attack members of the civil society. Plus, there are various powers at play within Dhaka. So he does not feel confident, I feel, to return to Dhaka just as yet. I think he wants assurances from all concerned that he won't be harmed if he returns to Dhaka. And it's really serious, because Bangladesh, with the Army League out for now, Bangladesh Nationalist Party is now the largest political party, and it is widely believed that they are going to sweep the polls. If not sweep the polls, win comfortably. So if the leader of that party, the acting chairperson of that party, do not feel that Bangladesh is safe for his return, when for all you know he is going to be the next prime minister of Bangladesh, you can understand what kind of space Bangladesh is in.
Yeah. So one hears that this talk of international consensus required for him to come back. These are statements coming out of Dhaka that are being reported in the Dhaka Tribune and some other papers, that I've been reading. What do you make of that?
Yeah,
Is there some
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
international thing against him coming back?
I think the threat to him, if whatever I read into the situation, I think the threat to him is internal. It's not external. It's not some foreign power, as I think its local press seems to be suggesting, which would not want a foreign hand, which would stop Tarique Rahman from returning to Dhaka. It's internal equations, political equations, that are not stacked in his favor, that do not that makes both his mother's extremely critical condition at this juncture, as well as his return, they see it as two big problems right now. So it's the internal dynamics of Bangladesh, political dynamics, that are a problem, not some foreign hand.
Mhm. So let's try and eliminate the internal dynamics here. Who would you say is the
Right,
primary
right.
opponent? Obviously, I presume Jamaat and NCP and all those guys.
It's Jamaat. Everybody else is playing the Jamaat game. It's Jamaat that is the problem. So see, there is a if God forbid something happens to Khaleda Zia right now, she has been the first female prime minister of the country. She is the wife of General Ziaur Rahman, who founded the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, was also the president of Bangladesh. She has had a very illustrious political career, controversial but also illustrious political career in Bangladesh. And you know how it happens in these parts of the world. I mean, when a tall leader is ailing, or or is in an extremely critical condition, the fans, the media, the people at large, they tend to only look at the positives, only look at the great things they did during their stint, and not look at the negative aspects It happens in India also, and so also in Bangladesh. We are a very emotional people. Electorate gets very emotional. So I think right now there will be a wave of sympathy, and public sympathy in the favor of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. If anything were to happen to Khaleda Zia at this moment, right? And so people may even forget that in the past 1 year, Bangladesh Nationalist Party's track record in Bangladesh has been very bad. I mean, a leader after leader especially in the lower ranks, in the past 1 year since Sheikh Hasina's fault, from Bangladesh Nationalist Party have been accused and also held guilty of extortion and various other crimes. There was a horrific rape, a rape that was recorded of a Hindu woman in Bangladesh earlier this year, where the rapist was from the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Even the BBC covered that story, right? So on the other hand, the Jamaat has put itself forward as a very regimented, very regimented, very disciplined political party. So Jamaat does not have a vote, that much of a vote. Its vote share was very less. But we don't know what's happened in the past 1 year, right? So Jamaat has really taken care to not be looked at as a problematic political entity in Bangladesh. You'd be surprised that the Jamaat also held a meeting with Hindu community leaders, right? And it has been going to town saying that Hindus in Bangladesh will be safest under a Jamaat government, right? And you have one particular Hindu community leader who shared a stage recently with the Jamaat head and said that the Jamaat might be an Islamist party, but that does not mean it is asking Hindus to convert or is treating Hindus like a second class citizen, right? These are coming from Hindu community leaders. So Jamaat has also publicly stated, while the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the NCP, their leaders have been making very provocative anti-India comments. Even Mohammad Yunus, the caretaker of the interim government, if you see what Jamaat, so from time to time, one of the leaders would say a provocative thing, but the Jamaat Amir, Dr. Shafiqur Rahman, who had said things like, okay, India and Bangladesh needs to talk, and I think I mentioned it to you last time. He said that Jamaat has made many mistakes in the past. Yes, I'm saying sorry for those mistakes. So very interestingly, Jamaat has said that Durga Puja pandals will be guarded. Jamaat has said Hindus should be safe in Bangladesh. Very interestingly, there was a statement where the Jamaat Amir said that there's a fear. I often hear that if Jamaat comes to power, women will be forced to wear the burqa. And he said that, let me assure you, we will not ask our mothers and sisters to wear the burqa. However, I'm sure our mothers and sisters would know what is the best and most respectable dress for them. So Jamaat has been very careful in its outreach, right? And vis-a-vis the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which is a big party with a big vote, okay, and which decided to stay out of the last election, but which has really sort of who had become, whose leaders at least have become very unpopular in the past 1 year, right? So in such a situation, if something were to happen to Khaleda Zia, people might forget all that, right? And people might uh, vote for the Bangladesh Nationalist Party in large numbers, remembering Khaleda Zia. Now this then is not in the best interest of Jamaat. So I think that's the scare. And imagine if Tariq Rahman returns now, right? He might get a hero's welcome from a large section of the Bangladeshi population. So it is not a comfortable scenario. Both of these things, Tariq Rahman's return and Khaleda Zia's extremely critical condition, are very uncomfortable situations for the Jamaat. So I think that's the crux of the problem, which Dhaka Tribune and other Bangladeshi news outlets, for some reason, I would not like to think it is fear, but for some reason they are not being able to say. So it's not any foreign hand. But I know, given the conversation in Dhaka, if anything were to happen to Tariq Rahman on his return to Dhaka, I think India would be very conveniently blamed.
Blamed. Hmm. Oh my God, even that's there, is it?
Yeah.
What
So
interest
if
would we
anything were
have
to,
in
yeah.
doing
So if
that?
anything were to, because yeah, that's there because yes, because India has been blamed by not just conspiracy theorists, but some very seasoned journalists in Dhaka, journalists and public figures in Dhaka, for a very long time for having a hand in the assassination of Tariq's father, General Zia Rahman. So it's almost an accepted fact in Dhaka that the assassination of General Zia Rahman, who incidentally was killed by his own army officers, a section of his own army officers, that it was a raw operation. So and
My
Bangladesh
God, wheels
Nationalist
within
Party
wheels.
has a very anti-India anti-India pro-Pakistan stand. So if anything were to happen, India would be very conveniently blamed. So I think the Dhaka Tribune article was basically hinting at India because it is an accepted fact, almost an accepted fact in Dhaka, that India had a role to play in the assassination of Tariq Rahman's father.
What about parties like the NCP and all
Yeah,
that? Are they coherent,
yeah.
credible?
I mean, NCP is also now deeply unpopular. I mean, they came out of the July uprising of 2024, but some of the charges that have been leveled against the leaders of the BNP, those serious charges have also been leveled against the NCP, National Citizen Party. Overnight, its leaders, who are basically students, have become filthy rich. They're crorpotis now. So they have very flashy. Many of them have very flashy lifestyle. Their party members have been accused of extortion, and I think they are part of this big game. So the game is Jamaat, right? With Army League out, the game is between BNP and Jamaat. Everybody else is taking sides. So there is to the throne is a fight between the Jamaat and the BNP.
In this situation, do you see any possibility of the election being rigged? I mean, who will rig it? How will, I mean,
Right. Right. If more cynical observers of Bangladeshi politics would tell you that almost every election in Bangladesh was possibly rigged, most of the election, if not all. But Bangladesh has had a history of very imperfect elections. But including the 2024, one must add, including the 2024 elections, which saw Sheikh Hasina returning to power. I think I had I had covered the elections for the print, and my headline was Awami League fights Awami League and Sheikh Hasina wins. So I mean, it was also a rigged election in a sense. But yes, it will be rigged. They have anyway kept Army League out of it, and they'll hugely rig the elections.
Who, the interim government will do it? Through the election commission?
Yes, I mean, see, there are we tend to see Jamaat as a Islamist political party, but the Jamaat is more. There are Jamaat people inside Army League. There are Jamaat people inside Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and in the past 1 year, there are Jamaat people inside the election commission, inside the judiciary, inside academia, media. So I mean, the process of rigging started soon after, of hacking the system, happened soon after the fall of the Sheikh Hasina government. And about specifically about Muhammad Yunus, I think Muhammad Yunus has been promised the president's post. Whoever becomes the both by the what I hear, both by the BNP and by Jamaat, that you stay on. You are very valuable to the country. You stay on, and you. So I think he's in a very good position. So whoever comes to power, I think the president's post is his.
I see. Is Yunus personally in favor of the Jamaat?
It is very difficult to say because Yunus has a mind of his own, but Yunus says some of his decisions have been pro Jamaat. Yunus has given the Jamaat a free hand, right? The some of the actions of the interim government, or rather the inactions, show if not in favor, at least so if not really in favor of the Jamaat, the government has actually not been able to do anything to stop the march of Jamaat. So I don't know whether he
Deliberately. I mean,
favors
they've
Jamaat. So I
kind
don't know
of.
whether he able to stop it. That's for sure. Stop its outreach. So yeah, so one, I mean, there's no way of knowing whether he favors it, but he has ended up helping it.
Tell me, a lot has been spoken about the role the US played in this mass uprising, the Gen Z uprising, or whatever you want to call it. Are the Americans a player here?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much talk about it going on.
yeah. If you are on X, you will see some retired American diplomats, you know, constantly talking about. So I am a little suspicious of people who are a little mature as journalists, or people who deal with public policy, or look at countries and societies, who are middle aged, or senior or veteran, however you call them, who speak in terms of good and bad. So I find it a little. I mean, unless you are actually simping for a political party, I think to say Hasina was good or Khaleda Zia was bad, or vice versa, I'll- we can draw some lines. We can say that something that is uh, very publicly or very very vocally Islamist, or wants a society to be ruled by Sharia, to be problematic. But I don't think we frame arguments by saying good or bad. Having said that, if you see some of the retired American diplomats, who served in Dhaka, they are now speaking in those terms. So they are retired. I mean, but they are spending all their time inside Dhaka. They are flying from Dhaka to Islamabad, and from Islamabad back to Dhaka, and they're framing their arguments, fighting with Army League ministers on Twitter, and saying that, oh, we should not look at it as a Islamist revolution, or constantly attacking India, deriding Prime Minister Modi. So I don't know America's hand, but definitely there are some Americans who are doing, and Americans who held very important positions in the foreign mission, whose role and continued stay inside Dhaka raises a lot of questions. If you are a career diplomat, there is something called diplomatese, which is saying a lot without saying anything, right? Often for laymen, it's saying a lot without saying anything at all. Imagine those people, if they start speaking in terms of using phrases like murderous Hasina, and problematic India, and the sort of Bangladesh that is finally becoming truly independent. These are not. These you would expect IT cells or political parties to say. You won't really think of American diplomats to talk like that. So I mean, they are speaking in those terms. So if I don't know whether the America hand. I mean, these days everything is a deep state conspiracy, but there are several American retired diplomats and people of American origin who are on Twitter and other social media platforms, who have taken a position which is anti-India, pro-Bangladesh without Hasina, uh, which I find a little suspect. And at this time, yeah, and at this time, and who are saying that, like you asked me, like, will the elections be rigged? And one of them have very publicly declared that it's going to be the first free and fair election in Bangladesh after many years. Now, how does he know? I mean, it's not happened yet. So
Is
all
the
that I
are the
find a
Americans?
little
Do the
problematic,
Americans have an
and
interest in the
all that I
Jamaat?
find a laymen. These are not sort of people who did not people who are just talking. These are diplomats, former diplomats, and people who sort of who go to important places and seminars and sit with other diplomats, serving diplomats. So that I find a little suspect.
Mhm. What are the Americans and the Jamaat? Is there some link there?
See, America historically, if you see America during 1971 did not support the the birth of Bangladesh. Right? Nixon did not want Bangladesh to be formed, to come out as as an independent country. And you remember blood telegram, Archer Blood and his dispatches. Now, but Bangladesh happened even without America's blessing. In fact, Bangladesh happened despite America. right? Now that was too long ago, that's an ancient history. So one would think that times have changed, and successive American governments have also learned how to negotiate with the independent Bangladesh. However, historically, if you see what were the forces that did not want the birth of Bangladesh, Pakistan did not want birth of Bangladesh. Pakistan's Pakistan's political establishment, Pakistan's military establishment, American establishment, and inside Bangladesh, Jamaat did not want the birth of Bangladesh. Jamaat sided with Pakistani military. And who was its who which other entity did not want the birth of Bangladesh? America. So it's a very weird sort of congregation of anti-Bangladeshi forces at the during the birth of Bangladesh. Now, whether that continues till date, I mean, but having said that, a very senior leader of Jamaat was in America very recently, New York, and I think he's the second guy in Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh. He was in New York last month, October. He gave a speech at an event which was attended by a lot of a lot of Americans of Bangladeshi origin, a lot
Bangladeshi
of
origin.
Bangladeshis who had traveled for the event, where he said that lakhs of Bangladeshi youth are ready, trained in madrasas to attack India. It made headlines, it made global headlines. And he did it in New York. I mean, nobody said a thing. The event was organized in New York. Can you think of a corresponding event where, say, some Indians go to New York and say that, oh, India is now going to some political party large event and say that, oh, now India is going to hack off a part of Bangladesh? So, I mean, so yeah, so those there are. I mean, these are deeper questions one needs to ask and ponder over.
So what you're telling me is that no matter with the Awami League out, whether it's the BNP or the Jamaat that comes to power there, we are in for a period of trouble, or there'll be some element of discomfort.
There'll be a huge element. See, Awami League is now out of the equation. I mean, Awami League people will of course keep talking about it in public on TV channels and Twitter, etc. But if there is indeed an election in early February, the tussle is between BNP and Jamaat, who were allies once, who formed a government in 2001, who have protested against Hasina together, who both have a very, very stated anti India stance, who are both considered close to Pakistan, right? And
Yeah.
whose politics is based on anti Hasina, anti India, who are now each other's almost sworn enemies. It's a bit like Maharashtra politics between the so-called right-wing parties, the Shiv Sena and the BJP. It's about who plays big brother and small brother. So now I think the crux of the matter is Jamaat does not want to play younger brother to BNP anymore politically.
And the irony here is the NCP, which triggered this whole thing, is nowhere in the equation.
Yeah, nowhere in the equation. It will be in a coalition government. I'm sure it will be part of the government. It will get some votes, but it's a deeply no, it does not have the favor of the Bangladeshi public at large anymore. It's a deeply, deeply discredited party, and too soon. I mean, it's July last year.
Yeah, within a year, they've kind of lost whatever.
Yeah, yeah. They were talking about the NCP like we spoke about the AAP in Delhi. You know that they came out of I mean, the AAP, the uprising that followed the anti-corruption sort of movement that happened in Delhi. Of course, thankfully, it was not violent, but to this level. But there's a lot of comparison in Dhaka about on the AAP and sort of linking the AAP to the NCP, but I think it took many years for the AAP to sort of lose favor of the people. The NCP has, I think, NCP was formed this year, so within a couple of months, it lost favor of the people.
Deep, I think we'll have to leave it there. We have completely out of time. So, from what you're telling me, it's
Yeah,
a fairly grim scenario ahead.
yeah,
Not only for Bangladesh in terms of its
very
internal
grim, sir. Very grim, very
contradictions,
grim, sir.
and also for India
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
the fact that we may end up with a government that is inimical to
yeah.
us. Now, from
Very,
what
very
some
grim
diplomats here
scenario
tell
for India.
me,
Very
we
grim
had
scenario
good
for India.
15-year run with Sheikh Hasina. Now, prepare for the worst. So, I guess that's where we are heading. But you never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Things
That's correct.
may turn out something else, and something better may emerge. Deep Halder, thanks again very much for the clarity with which you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
spoken about developments there. This is great perspective for our viewers. Thank you very
yeah.
much. That's all we have for
Thank you,
you in
thank you,
this
brother.
podcast. Do subscribe to our YouTube
Always a
channel and
pleasure
follow
speaking
us
to you.
on
Thank you.
social media. Thank you very much.